Hello and welcome to Workings of a Wishing Chair. For those who don't know, Wishing Chair Productions is the resident puppet theater at the Nashville Public Library in Nashville, Tennessee. This is a tradition that began in 1938 with Tom Tishner and his marionettes. But nearly 25 years ago, the program became Wishing Chair Productions as a nod to Tishner's work and the special chair that he built, where children would come to the library, then sit in the chair, and on their birthday, make a wish. And that is why we are called Wishing Chair Productions. Thanks for joining us. I hope you like the show. Hello, everyone. So last week, episode 1, we talked with Mary Tanner, Mary, about writing scripts and songs for our puppet shows. And today's episode is about adapting music for the puppet show. And we like to use, wonderful musicians. We have so many wonderful musicians here in town, and we work with a number of them. But one of our favorites is this person right here, Miss Sarah Hart, a wonderful musical artist, songwriter, performer. And here she is. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I'm doing very well. It's great to see you.
It's good to see your face too. I certainly wish we could actually sit and have coffee, but
that is an important part of writing music for puppet shows, having coffee and talking about it. We've had so many meetings over coffee about what are we going to do, and once you get the script and look at the words and what's in our minds and that sort of thing.
True. We have kept a lot of coffee shops in business in this town in the past. Yes, it's true. Well, that is part of it. I mean, everybody needs a muse, and caffeine is a good one.
That's right. So anyhow, we get the script done and we write lyrics and then hand them over to you.
Yes. And, it's an interesting process because sometimes, the lyrics are like, I think, pretty complete as they are. And sometimes, as you know, they require a little bit of like picking apart and refurbishing. But usually when I approach lyrics with you guys, the first thing I like to do is kind of read through the script, because I want to know what the characters are like. I want to know what's happening in the story. How do the characters feel? What are they thinking in a moment? So it's one thing to kind of look at the words on a page and say, oh, let's write some music and some words to this. It's another to understand all that is happening with that character around the songs. So that's really important to me when I work with library shows and with you in general.
Right. Well, it's a very involved process. It's not just sitting down and plunking out a tune. There's much more to it than that. And I brought some pictures from our puppet shows, and maybe you can talk a little bit about them, some that you've written the songs and music for. And
yes.
This one is a big crowd favorite, The Frog Prince.
This bratty. Anything that I want, I will get it. Any toy, any doll, any prize. Poor Princess Lily. She's so bratty, but oh, bless her. She learns, and that was one of the really important things about the writing that one, because at the beginning, you've really got this very, very spoiled little princess. It's funny, Brian, because people think, well, it's just a little child's puppet show. Yes, but there's so much emotion and personality to these characters, and kids are so in tune with a character development, right? So at the beginning of the show, you see how she's spoiled and bratty, and there's probably not a child that watches it and thinks she's like the perfect princess. They're all like, she's pretty bratty. And then she really has this beautiful arc of character throughout, and she really changes and comes into her own at the end. So where you hear her musically, all of the music is like imbued with this bratty kind of rhythm and melody. But by the end, it's very much softened and sweeter and more understanding. So the music really follows, I think, the arc of her character.
Wonderful. Yes. And it really comes through in the music that you've written for this wonderful, wonderful show. Here's another wonderful one. Oh. One of my favorites of all, A Child's Calendar by John Updike. Now, John Updike isn't famous for writing children's books, but this one is a book about poems for each month of the year. And the centerpiece is a tree, and you musicalize the entire thing.
Yes, so that's really a through score. And one of the interesting things about this show was that because it was based on his book, we did not want to like mess up the lyrics, you know, because we were following the book exactly. So with that one, what I remember about it is once you told me your idea about the tree that would turn. So I knew that much. And when I read the book itself, I thought that it was interesting to me how he wrote it in a meter, so that that meter feels like it's timed. You know, January, February, March makes three, April, May, and June move quickly. So it felt like time. January, February, March makes three, April, May, and June move quickly. So that we make the music itself sound like a clock, like time moving. And I really feel like the arc too of the months and the different sounds that we got for each of the months is something really special in that show. I loved it. Yeah. It was my great lament. I didn't get to meet him either.
Oh, okay. Well, I did.
I know.
Here's a picture of it. Yes, John Updike came to the very first performance because we created the show. He was receiving the literary award at the Nashville Public Library. And so to honor him, we created a puppet show version of his book. And he was just tickled. And what was really great is he was at the first show, he and his wife. And then at the end of the show, the kids mobbed him.
Oh.
And he was just charmed. Really, really great moment of
that
life.
Makes me so happy. I was on the road and you sent me the pictures and it was one of the greatest laments of my life that I couldn't be there. Well, but I'm so happy he had that moment. What a moment.
Yeah, but the music is so important and you created that.
Thank you.
So here's another one. And here's a picture from our theater. We don't get a lot of pictures from our theater, but this is our Cinderella.
Oh, Cinderella. She is heart of my heart, you know, and I had to say that sometimes, Brian, when I'm writing music for a show, sometimes it is so easy to get inside of a character's head. Like this one for me, I was right there. Like I didn't even have to second guess. And for me, like the most important song of that whole show is the one where she's singing in the garden. I think that might be a picture of it. Mm-hmm. And she's singing to her parents who are deceased. And she's just singing, Mother, can you see me? Father, can you hear me? Here I am. Here I am. I mean, it's just like this beautiful soliloquy of, hey, Mom and Dad, can you hear me? I'm here. And if you see me, I just really want you to help me be strong and brave and kind and good. And like, it's just this lovely moment. And it took that one, I honestly, Brian, that song from the show, two things about it. One, it took about like 5 minutes to write because I'm serious. I was just right there with her. But the other thing is that I really feel like that song to me captures the entire show in a weird way. That song is the essence of who she is. And with a show like Cinderella that everybody knows, doing different things is hard. So to really show her character right off the bat at the beginning of the show in that song, I feel like it carries it through the whole show in a strange way. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
So that we feel with her and for her right from the very get-go.
Right. It's such a beautiful song. And the thing that I love most about your writing, Sarah, is that it is sophisticated. It isn't just little, plunky. It's a Broadway musical approach to, but then translated into marionettes. And it just raises the quality of our puppet productions so high.
Well, a friend of mine once told me, that friend was you, by the way. A friend of mine once told me, children aren't dumb. They're just small people.
Right.
And that really is, I think, when you're writing music for children, people tend to think happy, happy, joy, joy. You know what I mean? And children's minds are so much more sophisticated than that. And especially when you put the visual of a marionette in a set, they can so much more easily sympathize with the characters and feel themselves in it. So the music should not dumb down the character, but rather enhance it. And I think that kids respond to that,
Right. And speaking of sophisticated, here is a scene from The Stonecutter.
Oh, Stonecutter. Get the right key. That is a fantastic show. And you know what's interesting about this show, Brian? You're going to laugh at me. Okay. I had never heard that story until you sent me the script. I'm like, what is this story?
It's outrageous.
It's outrageous, but it's also very powerful. And again, talking about the fact that children are not dumb people, they're small people, you know. Boy, that is one of those shows that just cuts to the heart. And like any kid can walk out of there understanding what just happened, but it's such a great life lesson, you know.
Yes, and we've written so many shows together, Sarah.
Yes, I know. I know.
One of our favorites is this one right here, the Sky Bear.
Oh, I love Sky Bear. So Sky Bear, oh, I get so excited talking about all these shows, but for me, the thing about Sky Bear, because it's a Native American story, you want to honor the tradition, you know what I mean? So there's this very beautiful Native American scale, and you know, across the silent curtain, hanging over while we sleep, a not so secret we'll keep. You know, we've got that in there. So there's this really beautiful sensibility, and I love that we were able to honor that. That was very important to me. Not to make the music, you know, anything too far, but to actually use their scale, their music, their sensibilities. And then you hired that beautiful girl that, what was her name? I can't remember.
Oh, that was Kim Collins. She's a local songwriter and musician here in Nashville and was the voice of Little Flower in our production of Sky Bear.
It's a great show.
Yeah. It is a great show. I mean, we could talk forever about these all day long, but I just wanted you to mention a little bit about underscoring.
Yeah. So underscoring is so very important, I think, for a couple of reasons. One is that, well, as we all know, you know, the attention spans of children grow smaller and smaller with each passing year. And unfortunately, that is something that technology has done to kids. So part of the reason underscoring in a show like this is important is to keep the through motion through. So to keep the attention of the listener. You know, that's one big part of it. But the other part of it to me is to support the script. So you've got these moments, you know, you just, if you had these moments without any music, it would feel weird. It would feel odd. If you think about a movie, like your favorite movie, and I tell people to think especially about Marvel movies. Like if you watched a Marvel movie and you took away all the music, it would just be ridiculous.
Yeah.
It would be ridiculous. You'd be like, this is a comedy, right? But the music gives this sense of drama and urgency. And so that's why underscoring is so important, because it kind of elevates the script and also helps the attention to carry through and follow through. And it makes it more like, you know, it's like a river. It's like a journey through a script, rather than just this wide open, vacant, empty field. But it's this beautiful journey.
Yeah, it's so important. The music is so important, and your music is so wonderful. And thank you so much, Sarah Hart. Let's work again on another puppet show soon.
You know we will. And I love doing it, Brian. And I love what the library does. And it's so unique and so needed and important. And thank you guys for the good work that you do.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Sarah.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Well, that was wonderful. So thanks for joining us. Join us again next week for episode 3, when we talk about building and designing puppets and sets for our puppet productions. Thanks for joining us.